Hey, what's up DIYers, Mike Borders with the Mike Borders channel. Hey, thanks for watching. We're talking Mercruiser outboard upper unit specifically. In today's video, we are going to show you how to pressure test your upper unit. Let's get started. All right, DIYers, at the Craftsman workbench now. And again, we are going to pressure test the upper unit. As you can see, there it is on the stand. And down below in the comments section, as well as the description section, are links on how to assemble that stand, as well as the stand that holds your lower unit. And I recommend prior to even removing your outdrive or stern from your boat, make sure you have proper stands for them to alleviate any damage throughout your entire projects when that stern or outdrive is off the boat. However, to the table, got a couple blocks. What I'm going to do is reposition that upper unit off the stand up on the blocks momentarily. I've got a C-clamp. And I had to get a little creative because I don't have the actual kit that is designed to pressure test the upper unit when it is not connected to the lower unit. And in most cases, you do pressure test the unit when it is connected. However, I want to show you how you can pressure test the upper unit when it's not connected to the lower unit. And the reason I'm doing this is because I just rebuilt the entire inside of the upper unit. The U-joints, the shaft, the bearings, the seals, the internal gears, and more. And before I put it back together, I want to pressure test it just to ensure the upper unit is good to go. And then, believe it or not, we will start rebuilding the lower unit. However, back to this little creative part here, all it is a piece of base trim or floor trim, a bolt, and a couple washers. And I bought some rubber gasket kit from my local Ace Hardware, and I believe this was only $5. I will need that rubber to create the seal on that oil feed line, which I'll show you here shortly, to create that airtight seal to properly pressure test it. And it could be as easy as just some rubber that belongs to a dual flush kit for a toilet. And again, a C-clamp. I'll show you what I do with that. I'll reposition the upper unit. At this point, the upper stand is resting on those blocks of wood off the stand there. And the reason I did this was because I'm actually going to flip that stand upside down to give me better clearance for the C-clamp and this little part I put together. Down here is your oil feed, and that is what we need to seal and create an airtight connection to be able to properly pressure test it. And what I'm going to do, this hole right here and that hole, believe it or not, are the holes for the lower unit studs to feed up through and be secured with these nuts. And I'm going to, again, use this little creative part I put together, feed that through the hole closest to us, and I will put some of that rubber in between the upper unit here and this part. I went ahead and positioned the trim in place and fed that bolt through the hole, secured it with the nut on top. It is still loose. I need that gap to insert. I'm using the toilet flush kit rubber, and I will feed that, and I will position the rubber in place directly over that oil feed line, as you can see right there, and I will use that C-clamp to create a solid connection here, which in return will create that airtight seal. All right, DIYers, here's where we're at now. The upper unit is resting on the stand that has been flipped upside down. Again, that gives me better clearance for the C-clamp. I've got a rubber piece to protect the upper unit between the upper portion of the C-clamp. And coming down below, you will notice the kit that I put together, and I've secured it with that bolt and washer, and I inserted a rubber gasket in between the lower portion of the upper unit and that trim, and secured it with the lower portion of the C-clamp to again create that airtight seal. I now have the upper unit and stand repositioned in the corner. We need to remove this oil vent screw, and it might be a little tight. There it is. Back to the workbench, and here is the pressure test kit that we purchased. Down below in the comment section, as well as the description section, is a link where to purchase this. And scrolling above right now real quick is a full review video on this. You may find that very helpful prior to using this. However, find the fitting that is a perfect match for your oil vent thread, and ever so carefully align the thread so you do not cross thread it as you screw this in. And if you notice, there is an O-ring right there, and that helps create an airtight seal as you screw this fitting in. Do not over tighten it. You do not want to harm the internal thread. I reposition the camera, and again, here is the gun. This little fitting right here is going to feed onto this part right here, and I will do that ever so carefully. And that is secured. From here, I want to verify it is zeroed out, and on this specific design gun or pressure test kit, you have a pressure release valve lever right here. Make sure you press that and zero it out. As you can see, right here is the 0. And I highly recommend referring to your service manual for your exact outdrive serial number to get the proper manufacturer specifications for your pressure test reading. In our case, for our Alpha 1 Gen 1 serial number, it is between 6 to 10 psi. In addition, I called Mercruiser headquarters to talk to a technician just to verify that information is true, and 2 technicians verified that that was the proper reading, between 6 and 10 psi. There are some outdrives out there that require more psi during a pressure test. However, again, in our case, between 6 to 10 psi. Any more than that, say for example, if we shot it up to 20 psi, we could actually run into damaging the brand new seals, and that would not be good. What we are going to do next is carefully compress the trigger here and begin feeding the air pressure inside the upper unit. And that gauge is beginning to move. Again, I'm taking it up to 8. And this is such a convenient kit to purchase and use to do this pressure test properly and safely. And I'm at 4 psi. This is definitely more safe than using an air compressor, I can promise you that. And here we are right at 7.5. I'll add just a little bit more and bring it up to 8 psi. See that? And now we're just going to monitor the air pressure and see over the next 3 hours if it holds steady. If it doesn't, it might be as simple as just tightening up that bottom kit that I put together. However, as you can see, there is not a rapid drop yet, so that is a good thing. Taking a step back, I just want to show you a different view of how I've got this set up. Again, the upper unit, here's the fitting that feeds into the oil vent thread. And the hose feeds all the way up to the hand pump here, or some people call it a gun. And again, we set it to 8 psi for our serial number specifications, and it is doing perfect holding that pressure inside that upper case. And we are going to give this about 3 to 4 hours to gain our trust. And if we come back 3 to 4 hours from now and that is still showing 8 psi on the gauge, that to us is a successful rebuild and pressure test. In addition, here are all of our printout schematics. And there is a lot of parts that go inside this stern or outdrive, both the upper unit and lower unit. And depending which service manual you are following, it may tell you to grab your yoke and U-joint assembly and shaft and give it a few revolutions or turns. And the reason they say to do this is because it's possible that your internal seals are creating an airtight seal at the present position. However, if you move your U-joint and yoke shaft, it may open up that airtight seal. In that case, you need to address that. After a couple revolutions, come back up to your gauge and verify it is in the exact position as it was before. And that looks good. Over to the world clocks, and right now just past 10 a.m. New York time. We'll see in about 3 to 4 hours. All right, DIYers, just shy of 4 hours, and let's go check this out. And here is my collection, what my wife calls man dolls. You know, she's not too far off on that. Even my Resident Evil ones. However, let's go check out this pressure at the workstation here. And again, everything is still set up just shy of 4 hours, and we still have a perfect needle or PSI right at 8. And it has gained our trust. We are now going to carefully push this lever and release the pressure. Pretty cool. From here, I'm going to see if I can remove this fitting by hand. Maybe, maybe not. There we go. And I will set this aside. I'm now going to carefully remove or unscrew the fitting. And there it is. Again, there's that O-ring that creates that airtight seal. I will re-secure the oil vent screw here. Again, do not cross thread it. I'll hand tighten it first and then screw it tight with the screwdriver. What I'll do next is reposition the stand and take off the C-clamp and reposition the upper unit back up on the table. Upper unit's now back on the workbench, and not sure if this will be helpful, but I do want to show you another view of my little crafty mechanism I put together. And from here, I'll just remove that. Upper unit is repositioned on the stand, and DIYers, that's a really good feeling having that upper unit properly pressure test. As far as this little crafty mechanism, there is where the rubber portion met the oil feed hole and created that airtight seal. I may keep this, I may not. I may use it again over the years. However, we still have a lot to do. We are going to rebuild the entire lower unit, and scrolling above is a link that picks up right where we left off, and we will continue with the lower unit. From here, do us a favor, below the video, you will see that thumbs up icon. Click on that, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Definitely ring your YouTube bell. That would be very helpful to us. We'd really appreciate it. Thanks again for watching. And hey, if you're still watching, check this out. What I've done was place my finger underneath the upper unit and block that oil feed line, and I reconnected the air hose and fitting, and I'm going to pump this up, and I'm going to show you what happens when that lower oil feed line is not blocked off and provided an airtight seal. So I pumped it up to 5 right now, and I'm going to pull my finger off that feed line. Listen. Hear that? So I just wanted to show you that.